Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Boring Enterprise Nerdcast, where we hopefully are anything but boring. Although the name is really catchy, so we kind of hope that the name sticks, but that we're not boring. So let's just keep that juxtaposition in mind, I guess. I am gonna play MC today. I'm one of your hosts, Paul Moderman. With me today is our other host, Yelena Perfilieva. Say hi, Yelena.
Hi everyone.
And we have with us today uh, an a guest of stunning magnitude, a guest of profound proportions. And this I found this in my research today, and I think everyone should know this. Our guest is on the community support forums for his company's website. He is the bronze medal winner this week among employees. And among employees of this company, he is number 4 all time in earning points on the support forums. That's basically the Michael Jordan of those support forums. We have with us Dmitrii Naumov from Acumatica. Say hi, Dmitrii. Tell us about yourself a little bit.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dmitry, and I'm a solutions architect at Acumatica in ISV team, which is the team that provides support to our partners, to our development partners.
Oh, okay.
So I'm kind of familiar with most of them.
Okay, and that's why you have such a high placing in the community list. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
that's a good explanation.
That's
Okay.
Yeah. During I actually with Acumatica for more than 8 years. During my time, I changed many hats, but my background is developer, and like my passion is writing code. So yeah, that's the background.
Okay, so guys, I think since we're kind of cross-pollinating a little bit here, right? Because Yelena and I have no professional experience with Acumatica whatsoever. Dmitrii, I assume you have very little SAP interactions in your professional life. And so this episode might make its way to like several different sets of ears. So I think what we'd like to do is kind of give all three of us a brief window for like a superhero origin story kind of thing. So let's give the floor to Yelena first. Yelena, tell us about the radioactive spider that bit you.
Yeah. So great. And again, thank you, Dmitry, for joining us today. This is like a rival type of event when we have two great civilizations suddenly meet. I'm Yelena Perfilieva. I am an SAP developer by trade. I am not just like Dmitry is well known in Acumatica community. I'm also known generally in SAP community. I used to be SAP mentor. I have been working with SAP products for a long time, since about 2005. And I have written a couple of books about ABAP, which is SAP development language. And so I now participate in this podcast with Paul, and we also have a newsletter. So nice plug for our Boring Enterprise newsletter. Please subscribe.
Subscribe today. Yeah.
Well, it's over to you, Dmitry, then.
Yeah.
So Paul, as you said, I don't have a lot of experience with SAP. The only one I think we were selecting one ERP for one bigger company and implementing it later, and we didn't select SAP this time. So that's the only exposure I have. And after that I worked with Acumatica. So that's most of my professional career. It's with Acumatica.
Okay.
Learned a lot in this company and grew a lot. So now playing this role, solution architect. And we connected with Yelena via LinkedIn. So here I am.
There you are. Very good. We're glad you're here. I'll give you guys my brief, and our listeners my brief Kryptonian spaceship bio. I went to college. I got my degree in theater and decided I didn't want to do anything with that in my career. So I got a job fixing laptops for a company. And from there, I got the chance to actually go into some development work. So I did some .NET, ASP, Classic ASP, Crystal Reports, Oracle, SQL, PL SQL, that kind of stuff. That company actually implemented SAP, and I joined the team that was doing development on the SAP system for that. So around 2010, I got exposure to lots of SAP stuff. Since then, I've written a few books. SAP UI5, which is a UI library. Actually doing data science in SAP. I wrote a book about that. And some other kind of UI-ish things and that stuff. And today I'm the chief nerd at a company called Bodark. And I really do also like development. I spend a lot of my time these days trying to find partner and sort of SaaS products and create those things for our ecosystem. But honestly, a lot of time is still spent consulting too. So it's, living in those kind of worlds is very common in the SAP world. So Dmitrii.
So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's a please. It's a discussion. Jump right in. Yeah.
Is it your official
title?
Title, yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. It really is. Cool. You can literally, it's on my, I wish I had a business card. It's on my business card. It's on LinkedIn. It's on probably on the company website somewhere. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's my official title. Like I negotiated for that title when I joined the company. So it was like, I want to be, I'm like leaning into like nerd in that sense.
I know some companies do something like a Padawan master for their, like, instead of junior dev.
Oh, that would be really cool. I should have done Jedi Master. Oh man.
Oh, damn, you messed up.
Boy, I really screwed up.
Yeah, I need to renegotiate now.
I need to quit and get rehired and change my title. So Dmitrii, for our listeners for sure, I want to know, what the heck is Acumatica? Tell us about Acumatica and what other ERP folks can kind of get from what you guys do over there in Acumatica.
Yeah, sure. So if we compare the two products, and I think that will be the easiest way to start, Acumatica targets, it's also an ERP product, right? And it targets smaller businesses rather than SAP. So our typical business is starting from 10 to maybe 500 employees. That's our size. Probably under $1 billion company.
Sure.
But probably more than like 10,000, 100,000, something like that. So we have our vision and our industries that we focus on. And yeah, we grew a lot. It's a new company. We started in something like 2010. I don't remember the exact date.
Right. I mean, it's cloud ERP, so it can't be that old,
is.
Right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is cloud ERP. It has been cloud ERP from the start. So there is no desktop version. It's designed to be in cloud from the start. We changed some technologies during that path, and we continue changing technologies. But still, it's mostly Microsoft stack. It's SQL Server. It's C#. It's ASP.NET. Yeah, I guess that's who we are. We grew fast in past couple of years. We grew both in number of customers and number of employees. Opened a lot of new offices. So here I am in Montreal office currently. Yeah, but we have many other offices around the world.
Yeah. I am curious about kind of the work life that you have. Like, how do you and your teams and your colleagues go about getting, like, how do you go about getting Acumatica built and supported? Do you have, like company events and that kind of stuff? Like, what's your work style there?
Probably not that different from any other software company. The one thing that I can mention for sure is that most of our staff is developers or other technical experts. So we do not sell the product directly. We go through the partner channel, right?
Channel partners, yeah.
And that allows us to, inside the company, to keep mostly the developers. I think one of the numbers that we announced some time ago, it was over 75% of personnel in the company are technical.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So it's really, really nerdy. If you
yeah, that's really nerdy. Holy cow.
Yeah, we do have a lot of events for developers specifically, and we try to involve other people in the company as well in this. For instance, hackathons. We have internal hackathons. We have external hackathons. We have some developer newsletter that is initiative of certain people. It's not like something that we are told to do.
It just happens.
It just happens
from passion, right? I
yes.
mean that. So please don't. I'm only going to interrupt for a second here. One thing, get this episode into that newsletter, right? I'm saying get when we publish this, get a link to this one and put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, let's get this promoted because this is interesting stuff, and I want to make sure people hear your voice, even if they're used to your voice. I want to make sure they hear your voice. This is good stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Dmitrii, you mentioned something called Acumatica. I'm curious, what is it?
Yeah, so let me talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
And I will start from a little bit far, right?
Yeah.
That is a part of conversation that I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
One of the things that I believe is very important for a company and for ERP company is to actually listen to the ideas, right? Whether those ideas are from the community, and that is obviously very important, but also the ideas from their own employees. That doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes you just told what to do and you don't have a say in that. However, since we have that specific structure where most of our employees are technical people, they really understand the value of technology. And whenever we have a chance to implement something that makes our life easier, and we can even start it on our own, and then promote it to like CTO, and that will be implemented as a company-wide practice. So one of these things is, as I said, we have internal hackathons each year. We gather together in teams and we work on some ideas, and that can be a variety of directions. One direction may be some tool that helps our customers, but what we've seen recently, the most exciting things are the ones that also help our own developers to work on the product. And one of the things that was born during such a hackathon is Acumatica. It's our tool that a team of our developers prepared for developers. It is static code analysis tool. You know, there are a lot of such tools, like you can find one in ReSharper. Like CPP Cat, I think, but it's for C++, and some others, right? But in our case, we do work in C#, but we do have specific framework, right? Specific platform. And for this framework, there are certain rules that usual static code analyzers cannot really ensure because they don't know about those rules, right? So our developers worked and prepared that as a hackathon project. They won, and now it's one of our tools that we promote to the community that we use internally. It's included in our auto tests. So whenever someone writes new code, it needs to go through Acuminator verification to make sure the new code doesn't contain any code smells or bad practices.
Right. That's interesting. I like that too. And I think the cool thing about that is that like something like that, even if on the surface it sounds like it's very inward focused and navel gazing and whatever, like the actual effect on customers for something like that can be huge when the code quality improves, when the product improves in a way that you guys make it that way. Like those developer tools, even though they face inward, they eventually also face outward too, right? Through the quality of the product, through the code. That's I like that. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And not only that, we do post it on GitHub as open source tool. We allow our community to participate. We allow them to use the tool as well. So it improves not only quality of our product, but of the complementary products as well, of the add-ons and customizations that our partners work on.
Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Awesome.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Talk to us about community.
Okay, so for community, this is
okay. Getting warmed up now. Talk about community.
It is a topic that I heard a lot in your previous podcasts, by the way.
Yeah.
So I know you like to talk about that.
Yeah.
So I came prepared.
Yeah.
For community, I would say we can have a look at the community in different slices.
Okay.
So the community itself, we can probably separate it by type of user that is, right? It can be a regular user of our product, and they will have one view on the situation. We can talk to like business owners and decision makers in the businesses, and they will have a separate view on the situation, separate view on the product, right? Because they will also factor in the cost of the product, the time of implementation and stuff like that. So the other part of the community is our implementation partners. And finally, it's our ISV partners, so the partners who work on complementary products for us, add-ons, customizations, integrations. And they all will have different view on the situation.
Right.
Different view on what product should do, different view on what product shouldn't do. But we do need to listen to all of them.
Yeah.
And for the initial channel of communication, we do have our community.acumatica.com website where we listen to all of them. We have ideas voting system, and any user can vote for an idea there. And that idea, once a quarter, it will be reviewed by our product managers. They will decide what to implement in the product, what not to implement in the product. Yeah, and then for sure, for communities, you may want to have more direct channel of communication. So for that, we have, for instance, our Acumatica Summit. It's our annual event where we also invite all of our users, our partners, and we are happy to talk to them there. We're happy to listen to feedback. And really, the most valuable thing that you can get from the community is the feedback, right? The ideas for improvement.
Yeah, they say feedback is a gift. So it's very, sorry if I might just jump in for a second, because you actually mentioned a couple of times already that getting ideas and feedback from others is important, and SAP had gone through that period maybe for some time. I can share some history that happened in SAP community, which probably larger than Acumatica's, just the way it is, but we did have similar ideas website where every community member would go in and create some ideas, vote for ideas, etc. But it quickly turned into what we dubbed as a place where ideas go to die, unfortunately, because there wasn't really feedback loop back to the idea creators and voters. You would drop ideas there, but then what happens? And I think your approach with this quarterly review and some kind of a structure and certain commitment, maybe, because whoever gives the feedback, they are also interested what's happening with it. Was it useful or not?
Yeah.
So I think it's really very hugely important for any community of any size. And I totally get the challenges that SAP has simply with their size of many people, but there must be some way, I think, to manage it. And it shouldn't be an excuse, oh, we're just too big, to just not do a good job in this area.
Well, I think every company, even if it's big, right, if it's small, still they have some departments, right, division of departments. And on our community, on the ideas side, we have the tag, right? So we can tag like it's for core financials functionality, or if it's for like localization. And then the product manager who is responsible for reviewing those ideas is the one responsible for the area tagged. So even though some well, even though company may be big, still there is a subdivision in the company that can make a difference, I think. And even if they do it on their own without, and I'm not sure if the culture there is that flexible, but in our case, I think it's pretty much appreciated if the teams just go there and grab some ideas themselves without direction from like higher up.
Oh, sure.
And I think that's a really great culture to foster within any organization, where it's I mean, there definitely every organization needs some structure sometimes, but in many cases I really would love to see developers also just being enabled and being encouraged, empowered to take initiative and take feedback themselves. I think it's a great point. So I just wanted to clarify with you. So in Acumatica community, is it open to everyone, or is it does registration require any special, like, do I need to be a customer of Acumatica, or is it basically I can log in with my like Gmail or Yahoo and just join it?
It was restricted some time ago. As far as I am aware, right now it is not. So you can register there. Even if you are not customer, not partner, you can.
Well, here we go, Yelena. We're gonna sign in, and we're gonna give you guys the best ideas out of nowhere.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know what happens sometimes? Even our own developers just go there and either create ideas or upvote the ideas that they want.
Sneaky.
Because they think it's cool. They think it's needed.
So we've talked about community. Can we talk about partners now too? Because so Yelena and I come from the SAP world a lot, and SAP talks a lot about partners and how supposedly, allegedly, they're just full of opportunities for partners to go build their businesses, use the SAP platform as part of their core offerings or whatever, and all that stuff. And to be honest, in reality, it's very hard. And there are a lot of hurdles to doing that in the SAP space. What is it like for customers for partners in the Acumatica space of, building their business or offering on top of Acumatica or alongside Acumatica and really getting stuff? Is like, I guess the question boils down to, and this is right in our prep sheet, is it realistic for a developer to create an add-on and make money with Acumatica ERP?
Yeah, so I will be honest with you, and I don't want to promote something that is not realistic. At the moment, I think it is hardly possible, to be honest. And I understand why it's hardly possible with SAP, just because the audience for the end users of that product are very big specific companies, right?
Yeah.
So, and maybe you have a shot if you have some insight into one of them, but if you are completely unrelated I don't think that can happen. Because the initial investment for something like that would be huge. At least I believe it will be if you are going to develop something for SAP.
Yeah.
For Acumatica, since the clients that we have are usually smaller, it will require less investment. But still, I think it's not really that easy right now. Couple of years back, when Acumatica was still a smaller company and had smaller customer base, it was more doable with one
exception.
say, not exception, but with one detail that you needed to consider. So since we were smaller, we had less customers, the add-ons market was less crowded, right?
Oh, sure.
And the requirements that we as a company had for add-ons were less strict.
Right.
So as a developer, you could just, start out of with nothing, with just an idea, and you could develop something and maybe sell it to one customer.
Right.
And then years pass and you sell it to more and more customers, and maybe in a couple of years, in 2, 3, 4 years, you become profitable.
Sure.
Right now, the space is really crowded, I would say. There are a lot of bigger companies already investing a lot of resources there, and it is hard to compete. So as individual developer, I think it's really hard.
It's pretty hard.
I know, yeah. And previously it was not that hard, but it was not that profitable either, right? Because there were less customers that you can offer your product to. Now there are more customers, but much more competition. I do know some developers who managed to do that. Like individually, they were working for a bigger company, but in the evenings, I guess, worked on their hobby project for Acumatica, and they finally made it to a separate product. They quit the main job and they are focusing on that. That happened a couple of times.
Sure.
But that's rather an exception. It's not a rule. I would not, like in a casino, I would not bet on that.
Right. Yeah. That's not I wouldn't go 0-0 on that roulette wheel. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I think it kind of makes sense, because I think you are right. Because it gets crowded because I think a lot of people, they smell a lot of opportunity in the space, right? Because something like Acumatica with thousands of customers, or SAP with hundreds of thousands of customers, you think to yourself, well, look at the size of that market. How can I not go get a slice of that? But then you realize, especially in the SAP space, like the size of the businesses that you're aimed at in your add-on space makes it so that like those businesses are so unique that even if you make something that really works for, like, let's just say this oil and gas producer, that does not mean that it will work for that oil and gas producer, right? Like the businesses are so big and so diverse that it's hard to find something that matches. Even within an industry, it's hard to find a thing that matches a number of things for a lot of players in that space. And it's crowded too. It's like the marketplace is crowded in SAP side too, I think.
Yeah, the best shot, I think, if you want to kind of go that route, the best shot is if you implement some product for your company internally first and see that it works, and then decide to make it into a product. And you kind of go from inside that case, right? So you kind of already have one customer that you can start with that provides you the requirements.
Yeah. So I am also interested to hear, because in the SAP world, like let's just say I work for some huge company and they buy the everything plus the kitchen sink version of SAP stuff, right? When you do that, you also inherit a huge staff staffing burden, right? You need a ton of people to make that software and the associated infrastructure go, right? With Acumatica, what does it look like if I'm like, let's just say that I'm your biggest customer as far as the size of my company, right? I'm like 500 people as a company, and give me the Cadillac gold-plated best everything version of Acumatica. Am I also taking on like an employee administrative burden to sort of manage the solution? Like, what does that look like from your side?
For the biggest implementation, I think yes.
Okay.
Definitely. So you probably will need separate nodes for like scheduled processes, APIs, UI, right? So you don't want the UI users to compete with API for resources.
Sure.
You may want to have separate UI nodes to make sure customers from different regions have better accessibility, right? Or if something happens and network interruption, then you may want still to be able to access the application. So to manage all that, you will definitely need someone on your side to just manage that. For the biggest implementations, what we do, we have like a dedicated person on our side that just oversees everything that's going on. Yeah, but that's not a typical situation for us. Usually our more standard customers, they are on SaaS, right? They are not on premise. We do not allow them to manage their infrastructure and stuff.
Right.
It's all on us, all on our SaaS team. So what they get is like pure software as a service.
Yeah.
They just have login and they can access their site. They don't care about the deployment. They don't care about anything.
And I think one of the unique things, or maybe it's not unique, I don't know, in the SAP space, you'll have a company employee who is basically an SAP analyst, right? That's basically their whole job. Does that happen too for Acumatica customers? Do they wind up having like an employee who's like, actually, I'm the Acumatica analyst who just makes all the config go for this system?
It happens unintentionally, I would say it like that.
Okay.
People just so invested in the product, they are so involved in the implementation, in the trainings for different users, and it's their project usually, right? The re-implementation of ERP.
Yeah.
And they get so involved, they like the product, and they just become the experts in the product.
Sure.
So they usually promote the product among their own employees, and if they change company, they usually also try to implement the Acumatica product on the other company as well.
I mean, hey, that's take the salary and get it, right? Yeah.
Awesome. So just to piggyback on that question a little bit, in many articles that I'm reading these days about any enterprise software, people are talking about skills. And if we talk about SAP space, everything SAP related, like Paul said, there are people within the company, SAP customer, who are in charge of maintaining and supporting SAP solutions. So they are considered SAP professionals. Some of those people, they also may have been in the industry for a long time, and they do not always upskill, they do not always keep their skills fresh, or sometimes there is simply so much going on that, you know, for a single person, it's sometimes impossible to know everything about everything. These days, it's just technology is so big. So every time it's like, oh, yes, we need to do this cloud, we need to do this AI, but who's going to do it? Where is the skill? What problem? We don't have skills. And I was just reading about this in the latest hyperautomation story that I published today. So the article about hyperautomation, nothing to do with any specific ERP. And it also says, oh, well, one of the concerns is lack of the skills like in-house. And I'm just sitting there like scratching my head, like, why would you really need like skills like in-house? Because to me, like, let's say cloud solutions, exactly like Acumatica or any other ones, that's the whole point of it, that technically you shouldn't need to have any specialized skills like within your company. I think that's one of the selling points of those products. So do you think it's true, or is it, do you still need some kind of skill set in-house? And if so, then what that skill set would be?
Well, ideally, for sure, the product promise is that, yeah, it just works, right? You can access it and it just works, and you know intuitively how to use it. For many enterprise software, I don't think that's the case, unfortunately. And many of the things, they require specific knowledge, even if it's not like how to do that in this software, but you still need to have some kind of habit to the things and how they work in specific software. Like it's not really a related example, but just the one that I came to mind. For instance, in many applications, in many different software, you can use Control plus that shortcut to undo the previous action, right? You do not really read documentation to know that, but still you have that skill, and if you don't, it becomes difficult for you. So among the ERP specifically, you should have that kind of general understanding on how that works.
Oh, sure.
And it can be from a different ERP, if we are talking about ERP specifically, right? But you still need to have some kind of idea on how that usually works.
Right, please.
For our software, especially, there are some things that kind of inherit our developer, I cannot say developer-centric nature, but still we are very technology-centric, right? We have a lot of people who have at least skills in SQL. I think maybe I cannot say all of our employees can write a simple SQL query, but most of them for sure can.
Yeah.
And sometimes it slips through to our software as well. And it can be very intuitive for the technical users, but some things can not be really easily understandable by non-technical users.
Yeah.
That's one of our challenges, I would say, but we are trying to focus more and more on that. We are trying to improve our UI and adopt the mindset of a user. We use community for that, for sure, user groups, everything that we can, really.
Okay, so one thing that we do a lot, probably maybe too much, Elena, I don't know. We do a lot is we offer kind of unsolicited advice to people about various things in their career and that kind of stuff. So from your perspective, Dmitrii, give us some of your wisdom from the decades and centuries of your experience. Give us some of your wisdom for aspiring developers and stuff who want to work in the enterprise space or work with enterprise tools. What have you learned along the way that really could help them make their lives better as they pursue something like this?
I will speak from my hiring manager perspective, I would say.
Okay.
Because I do hire people in my team and do a lot of interviews. One of the things that I can say is do not focus on specific technologies, because I see a lot of people who are really keen on developing for Azure or AWS serverless, right?
Sure.
And they are very good at that. But then what we do have that, right, for our development.
Sure.
But the team is relatively small. So out of all people who deal with specifically AWS infrastructure, probably maybe less than 10% are even aware of how that works.
Sure.
So as you can tell, most of the people that we hire, we are just looking for general programming skills. We are not looking for specific AWS stack, right?
Right.
But a lot of people that I interview, they have that as their like main skill, as their main point, main selling point. But yeah, it's a plus, but it's not the main point. The main point is ability to talk to the people using the same language in terms of technology, right? Even if you don't know C#, right? But you know Java, the same concepts are applicable.
You're on the way.
Yeah.
So the main point is just, get the basics done. The technologies, they change.
Yeah.
Today is AWS, Docker, containers, whatever. Tomorrow it's something else. But if you have the good basis, if you understand in general how software works, how the software development process works, then you are good to go. You can apply anywhere, and specific technologies you can always learn.
I like that. I heard somebody talking about something very similar to that. A few years ago. It's been a number of years ago now. But something I've always carried forward from what you're saying is, I don't want to be an X developer. I just want to be a developer, right? It doesn't matter what the X is. I just want to make a computer do what a human mind wants it to do. I don't care what the language is. I don't care what the stack is. My job is to translate thought into words that compile, right? Like that's and who cares what compiler it is or if it's interpreted or what, who cares? My job is to make the computer have its own version of thoughts that match the human version of thoughts, and then we go forward from there. That's always been my thought on that stuff.
Yeah, and even in our predictions for 2023, I think, Paul, I've written jokingly that the next hard skill would be fixing whatever the previous person who was chasing hard skills did, and I think that is the case. I also have a great disdain for people who are like, what's a hard skill these days? It's like get rich quick schemes of some sorts, and it might work for some people. I know some people just focus in very specific areas. They're a very specialized expert, but to be honest, many times I have seen work of those experts, and I mean, it's okay. It might solve something, but in general, if you don't have really good understanding of basic things, and I've seen some developers who genuinely do not understand how internet works. And it's not like you don't need to have deep knowledge, but how come you never Googled stuff like this? How come you never bothered to read Wikipedia article on just they cannot tell FTP from HTTP, basic things like that, at least basic to me. So yeah, I think it's excellent point that instead of trying to be hyper focused in something, it's really great, and it pays off, I think, in long term specifically. Yeah, excellent.
And we can even add on top of that, we can even broaden the picture. So yeah, understanding how software works, fine, but understanding how complex systems work in general is a really good skill. Even like a warehouse where you have different production lines, right? You have picking process, packing process, shipping process, a lot of people. You kind of manage it in similar way as like threads in your software.
Yeah.
You can predict what resource will be the locked resource, right? And that resource will be a bottleneck or something like that. General idea on how to make complex system work, like how to decompose them into simpler parts and make those parts work first. That is really a key point for me, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we are done now with the boring part of our discussion. And we are on to the fun part. And here is the fun part. We've done this once before, Yelena, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do Kiss, Marry, Kill, or some people call it F, Marry, Kill,
Yeah, we're going to do
pick.
Yeah, we'll do the clean one. Version
we're doing PG-13 in this episode. So here's the deal. Kiss marry, kill, and the topic is enterprise software. Okay, so we'll go around the horn 3 times. Each of us gets to say our kiss, our marry, and our kill. All right. So, Dmitrii, I choose you first. What will you kiss in enterprise software?
HeyDSQL.
Ah,
So
yeah.
for a tool that is community developed, it's really solid. I love it. So yeah, definitely HeyDSQL.
Okay. Yelena, where do your smooches go?
So my kiss would be rather generic for any AI tool du jour, which I think many of them will be just very exciting but very fleeting flings, and yeah, possibly just just pass our horizon very quickly. That's what I
Man,
think.
you stole a smooch from my very
Oh,
same thing
damn.
too, because I wrote down ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
That
One
like
of
that
those, yeah.
specifically, from a developer's perspective, have you guys tried using that? I mean, Dmitrii, tell me I'm wrong. That's scary sharp, isn't it? Like it doesn't write all of what I do, but if I'm like, God, how the heck do you do whatever? Just blah, and there it is. And I tweak a little bit, and there I go.
It does write Acumatica specific code.
Yeah, isn't that it writes ABAP, it writes the SAP ABAP code too. It's like sometimes it's outdated, but that's because most of the code on the internet is outdated ABAP code, right? So you can't blame the robot for learning from shitty, or excuse me, dang it, from crappy code on the internet. I made it not PG-13.
You blew it, Paul.
Oh, I blew it. Okay, so next, marry. Dmitrii, what will you marry? Long-term love in enterprise software.
Well, for Mary, it is not love, but it's about money. It's Avalara.
A marriage of convenience, huh?
Yeah. So it's gonna be Avalara for sure.
Yeah. Yelena, how about you? What's your who are you committing to?
So I'm not sure if it's perceived in enterprise software, but I've used it with many like large enterprises. So I put it as such. To me, it's Slack. I think, and we have professed our love for Slack before. I think it's great tools that does exactly what it's supposed to do, and hopefully not much more, because that would be, I think, the end of it. And it's just it's pleasure to use, and yeah, I hope it's please Slack creators, do not spoil it for us. So yeah.
I mean, it's in Salesforce's hands now, so God knows what they're gonna do with it. Yeah, Salesforce, we're watching you. and they're swimming in their pool of money like la la. I don't care what you think. Give me more profits. Yeah. So my long-term commitment, my who am I putting the ring on, so to speak, is, as a concept, sustainability. And I think that there's been a lot of lip service these days to like enterprise software enabling sustainability. I want that to go deeper, right? We've got one planet that we are messing up right now. And I believe that software can play a part in helping to change that, but it has to be deeper than just like a field on a screen that says, tons of carbon saved today. Like it's got to be more than that. It's got to be a vehicle for sharing ideas and knowledge about sustainability. It's got to be a vehicle for how we accomplish sustainability, not just for how we track it. Right? Yeah. Like that's gonna be. So that's what I'm married to. I hope the marriage lasts. I mean, who knows, guys? But that's my marry in this world. Finally, we are on to
look bad.
Well, I mean,
money here.
but money pays for stuff, right? So like you can go, save the earth, but you can only do that if you can eat, right? So you got to eat. The last step in our chain, our three-part chain, the kiss, marry, kill. We're on to kill. Okay, Dmitrii, what will you kill? What will you say? Get rid of from the earth entirely?
MySQL workbench.
I hate that thing. Oh, I hate that thing.
I tried to work with one of our clients and it required for me to connect to their MySQL server using VPN tunnel.
Yep.
So it was crashing more than it was working.
Yeah.
Literally, more than 50 requests, they just crash.
Yep.
More than 50% of requests that I send, they just crash the software. The same time, HeySQL that I already mentioned dealt with the issue perfectly. No complaints about Hades. So I guess MySQL Workbench needs to go.
See you later. We're burying it right now. Elena, what are you? Elena, what are you? What are you?
Mine is again. I'm going with some general categories here. Mine is timesheet entry software as a class needs to die, I think, or at least it needs to be heavily automated so that people like us who are creative workers who are not paid by the hour typically can just do our job and just do not bother about recording every living hour and how we spend it. So that is my huge wish, for this to go away.
There was some kind of, I don't remember the exact software, maybe it's SolidWorks or something like that. And it tracks the amount of hours you spent editing the file. And it is kind of an attribute on the file. So for each file, you can see how many hours each person who worked on that spent on it.
Oh man, that's nightmare fuel. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right, Paul, what's your kill?
Here, again, Dmitrii, Dmitrii has been very specific in his software tools, and we've been very general, floating up in the space kind of things. But here's what I want to kill: is anything being built right now today that doesn't have as its first thought, scalability from a serverless perspective, right? Anything being built today should just simply elastically scale up and down all of its components based on what the system need is. We should stop buying servers. We should start buying or continue buying or buying more of just capacity, right? Of just pay by the drink. Like if your biggest or smallest customers or whatever are if they suddenly have to let go half of their workforce, it shouldn't matter. I mean, that's terrible, but it shouldn't matter from a compute perspective. Those resources should just be released to the rest of whatever to do what they need to do on the other things, right? My favorite things I work with are the pay by the drink, half of a penny per gigabyte second or whatever, right? Of like usage, because I can plan for scaling up and scaling back and whatever, and I don't have to worry that I have to just buy a server and place it on a rack for a year that might not ever be used. Everything should be built, I think, to whatever degree possible with that scalability, flexible scalability in mind. That's my my kill is anything not built that way. my preserve is things that are built that way. The awkward way to say that. Okay. Anyway, that concludes the fun portion of our podcast, and now we go to the promo portion. So, Dmitrii, is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want to plug, like your new album? Anything like that?
Book,
yeah, your new book, your latest whatever. Yeah.
In 20 years, I will promote my book when I finish it.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay.
But currently, just wanna promote our yearly conference, Acumatica Summit, that is going to happen next week. I'm not sure if the episode will be available by that time, but you can always go to summit.acumatica.com and watch the recording there of our keynotes. Otherwise, if you are in time, you can also watch it live.
Nice. Very good. Nice promo. Very well. Well done. So I think with that, guys, we talked seriously, we had fun, we promoted things. I think we accomplished a podcast, guys. I think it's time to hang up our hats and say goodbye. So from everyone on our side, myself, Paul, Elena, to everyone on Dmitrii's side, Acumatica friends, family, whatever the case may be, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure. And yeah, have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.